Jon Stewart. Accusing the Defense Department of corruption and waste, Stewart confronted the Pentagon's Deputy Secretary, Kathleen Hicks.
But I'm a human being who lives on the earth and can't figure out how $850 billion to a department means that the rank and file still have to be on food stamps. Like, to me, that's corruption. I'm sorry.
He gets a lot of leeway with the comedian thing, though. So Stewart questioned why some veterans are facing food insecurity despite the Defense Department's massive budget.
So Don Lemon, as you could hear on the back end of that video, as soon as it cut off, I think he thought they were still going to more. And he goes, he gets a lot of leeway with the comedian thing, though. Apparently maybe talking to his co-host, maybe a producer, who knows? But what he didn't really have much time for was Jon Stewart grilling this Department of Defense official about the potential fraud, and all the waste when it comes to all the billions of dollars, trillions of dollars that goes into our military budget, and we just don't know what happens to it. But, you know, if a mother in Arkansas has government assistance for food stamps for about 6 months, then it's a full-on audit, and she's draining the country dry. That's the problem that we're talking about here. But Don Lemon was upset probably about the aggressive nature of Jon Stewart's approach towards this whole thing. Afterwards, though, he didn't try to backpedal a bit. Do we have some of the backpedal? Not necessarily, right? But he backpedaled on this whole thing as soon as he saw the silence and went, oh, no. I think they heard me criticizing Jon Stewart. And if they hear me criticizing Jon Stewart, it's my ass. Yet again, because this wasn't a hot mic, but he was definitely in some hot water when he said this about Nikki Haley.
Notice Nikki Haley when she said that yesterday. Obviously a dig at Biden, but she said 75 and up, so that would include Trump.
Elder statesman here.
This whole talk about age makes me uncomfortable. I think it's the wrong road to go down. She says people, you know, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Prime for what?
It depends. I mean, it's just like prime. If you look it up, if you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s. I don't necessarily.
40s. Oh, I got another.
I'm not saying
decade.
I agree with that.
Uncomfortable, Jessica.
Uh-oh. Smooth recovery, Don. You know, when life gives you lemons, Jayar. Gives you lemons. Okay, for him to say, you know, Jon Stewart gets a lot of leeway with the comedy thing. Gets away with what? Asking hard questions, talking about the truth, pointing out corruption. Are those things that the news, the mainstream media, doesn't get to do, Don? Interesting. It seems that the king's jesters don't come from within the castle for a reason. There's a reason that CNN, ABC, Fox, mainstream news doesn't criticize the defense spending. And it's because whenever we want to foment support for a war, they run programming on how evil our enemy abroad is. They're coming from the castle as well. Jon Stewart's coming from kind of an outsider perspective, and that's why he's saying these things. He's one of the most vocal mainstream voices about the treatment of veterans and defense spending. Right. And so Don's like, damn, if I was a little bit more funny, I wouldn't have to read from a script. He gets away with a lot with this comedy thing. But, I mean, he must be on one lately, because that comment about Nikki Haley was just way out of left field.
That one, I feel like they almost saw it coming. And I wonder, his two co-hosts there, there were, I think it was Poppy Harlow, and I'm blanking on her name, but they do good work. And as they're going over this whole thing, I was like, I wonder if they heard this one and went, oh, Don again, because the Nikki Haley thing was a month or so ago. And then this, again, was just talking about Jon Stewart, which we didn't hear anything directly like lambasting as directly as he said Nikki Haley's out of her prime as a woman. Then you maybe he had other things he had to say, but he was backpedaling pretty hard. Like when I said comedian, what I meant was comedian because he could be like he's a thought leader. I get it, bro. I mean, we all have opinions, and maybe make sure that mic isn't back up before you come back through. Maybe his producer screwed him over. Who knows? Maybe someone decided to end the video earlier and they heard him talking all that trash. I don't know. But hopefully no one sabotaged him to set him up. But he'll be fine. It's okay. They're all mad at Jon Stewart for challenging people that are in positions of power. He'll be fine.